listening to the Post-Apocalyptic Media Podcast, your weekly post-apocalyptic news roundup.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to this 45th episode of the Post-Apocalyptic Media Podcast. I am your host, Sean, senior editor at postapocalypticmedia.com. And every time I do this, I say, there's a lot of news this week. It's a big news week. Well, it's not this time. It's really not. There's not a lot out there. But there's a lot of shows going on. This is kind of like the calm after the storm and also before another storm. The calm between the storms. How's that? We have a lot of stuff that just released in September, stuff that's getting ready for, the fall stuff going on. And so that's all like in full swing. And I'll talk about that too. But we also have stuff coming up later in the year that isn't really... there's not a lot of details about it yet. So it's one of those things you can't really talk too much about. But this week in particular, we only have a couple things to talk about. So it should be interesting, right? We'll see how this goes. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about what I've been watching or playing or doing, consuming as a consumer of this genre. So there's Why the Last Man. I have not been watching. There's Walking Dead World Beyond. I have not been watching. There's that new one, Foundation, the one on Apple. I watched the first episode and I have not been watching the rest of it. C, I have caught up with C. C is great. I say that every time. And then The Walking Dead, of course, the OG Walking Dead that's in season 11 right now is it's doing really well. It's actually just hit its mid-season finale, and I made a separate podcast, as I've been doing lately, separate podcast all about that show, that episode, and that was episode 8. Now again, let me explain. I don't think I explained this well enough on the spoiler podcast that I do. It's called a spoiler special. And this last one is spoiler special number 5. This is for episode 8. Now, episode 8 is the one that came out on AMC Plus. So it's a week ahead of, regular AMC. The one that when people watch cable. Do people still have cable? I think people still have cable. Satellite? I don't know. When people watch it on that, or AMC.com, or, whatever, Roku, whatever you have, that episode, they just released episode 7 last Sunday, right? Sunday, yeah. But AMC Plus had 8, which is the last one. That's the mid-season finale. We're not going to have another episode until 2022, which is pretty scary to think about. What am I going to do that whole time? I'm just going to sit around and twiddle my thumbs, I guess? No, probably not. So I did a separate podcast about that, talked all about it. Spoilers everywhere. The entire thing is one big spoiler. And if you're into that, if you're into spoilers, if you saw the episode, maybe you want to see, a middle-aged guy talk about it, then go listen to that. I don't know why you would want to do that. So yeah, there's that I have been watching. I think what's funny is I'm gearing up right now for Dune. We have Dune on the 22nd. Well, I actually don't have HBO Max, so I have to get HBO Max. I almost said HBO Plus. It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Like Disney Plus, AMC Plus, Discovery Plus. I have all those, but HBO Max. You have to change your mouth. HBO Max. Okay. HBO Max is going to have the Dune movie. Very highly anticipated. I am so excited for it. Although I also have to lower my expectations a little bit. Once you get into these things and you get too hyped up about it, I'm not a super fan. I'm not a Dune super fan. I've read the book a couple times in my life, and there are people who read it a couple times a year. And I'm sure they're going to have problems with Dune when it comes out on the 22nd. I'm just going to enjoy it for what it is. That's kind of how I do things. Anyway, so that's what I've been watching or not watching. As far as games, I haven't really been I played Encased, which is a fun. It's a fun game. It's very, Fallout 1, Fallout 2. What do they call it? Isometric RPG, kind of that 3/4 view. It's a fun game. It has some really, really, really good writing in it. Other than that, I've played the New World, which is the new Amazon MMO. Not post-apocalyptic at all. Although it does have some pretty scary, like apocalyptic imagery, but it's not post-apocalyptic. So ignore it. Just forget I said it. Just ban it from the record. But I'm enjoying that a lot. It's a really, really fun game. I wish they would make a post-apocalyptic version of something like that. Something that's a real blast to play, like Guild Wars 2 or this game or Valheim. I mean, that would be incredible. Anyway, for the non-gamers out there, I apologize. Let's talk more about what we can expect. Now, on the site itself, we've covered. We're kind of doing this new thing. It's not really new, but we're dumping the coverage pretty heavily on reviews and recaps. I've been doing, I did Snowpiercer stuff last year, and I've been doing The Walking Dead now, and Stephanie's been doing this forever, recapping episodes of shows. When the 100 was on, they did that quite a bit. And now it's kind of our week. We have Why the Last Man. Bill's doing that. He has an episode 6 recap and review. I, of course, have my Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 8 recap and review. Walking Dead World Beyond. Stephanie's been doing that. Season 2, Episode 2 is out, so you can check that out. And these all, I'm pretty sure they have a lot of spoilers. I know mine is very spoilerific. These other ones have some spoilers in them, too. Oh, and Foundation. So Stephanie watched the Foundation Episode 3, and she is, I need to catch up on this show. I was so excited for it. That's what I worry that I'm going to do with Dune. I worry I'm going to say, I'm so excited for it. And then October 22nd is going to come and go, and I'm going to be like, oh yeah, wasn't there something that came out? And then I'll, totally forget it. Hopefully not, because I'm really excited for that one. But Foundation Episode 3 is out. It's called The Mathematician's Ghost, and she did a recap and review of that. So definitely check that out. But that's really it for the shows that are going on right now. I also did my YouTube Roundup, which I enjoy. If you haven't checked out the YouTube Roundup, I enjoy doing these because I do a few search terms, and I kind of scour YouTube for the best post-apocalyptic videos, right? And these are anything from, like a short film, or there's a lot of gameplay videos. I always want to say that at the beginning when I write kind of a synopsis, and I want to say, you know what? When I do a search for post-apocalyptic stuff on YouTube, I would say probably 75% of it is game related. It has something to do with a first-time gameplay video, maybe someone's doing a series and it's a part of that series. Also, there's a lot of kind of commentary videos on post-apocalyptic stuff. That's what I like. I like the short films are exciting to me because people really put their heart and soul into these short films. And even though they're, 5 minutes long and they have one person in them, they're usually a survivor walking down the train tracks kind of thing. Some of them, they're playing more with the cinematography than the actual plot. There was one actually this week that was like a dinosaur. It was called Jurassic something, is dinosaur era apocalypse. And the dinosaurs they added in were actually really interesting because you could tell they're CGI, but 30 years ago, people would have thought it was the most amazing looking thing ever. And someone did it, and I think he did it on a Moto G, because he had that hashtag, like made by Moto G or something like that. So to be able to do that on your phone, to be able to make an entire movie with the special effects like dinosaurs added in and all that, it's really interesting stuff that people are doing this. So I also have in that roundup there's a video about Gaslands. I love Gaslands. I haven't played it a lot, but I love the concept and the idea of turning Matchbox cars into little Mad Max cars, little post-apocalyptic cars. And in this video here, this person actually took it a step further and made wind sails for their cars. Because if you think about it in the future, gas and oil is probably not going to be as useful or as prevalent as wind, which is free. So to make wind powered vehicles makes sense. So taking these little Matchbox cars and adding sails on them is a really, really cool idea. So it's a whole build video on that. It's a whole build video on how they made the sails, how they made them distressed, and they look incredible. It's really, really cool. So if you're into that, check that out. There's also a, let's see, would the apocalypse be this bad? So this video, one guy named Prometheus Prime, he made a video saying, he kind of making fun of a post-apocalyptic game, saying like, oh, this isn't realistic. And so this video I added in here is, it's other people making fun. Well, I shouldn't say making fun, kind of nitpicking his video where he's saying like, this wouldn't happen. These guys are like, no, that would happen. This is why that would happen. So it's kind of like a double, a double commentary. It's kind of interesting. I also have a short story called The Doorbell, short film. It's very short, a couple minutes long. One person, again, one of those like last man on earth, last woman on earth kind of thing. It's interesting, has a good little ending there. And so I added that in the roundup. Now, again, there are so many of these. I try to add about 6 or 7 each week. And there's probably closer to 20, I would say. Probably about 20 short films a week. And I try to pick 1 or 2 of the best ones. And I don't know, hopefully you agree. Hopefully, when you check out this roundup that you think it's a good choice. And another video, I guess this last video I have on here is which country is safest in an apocalypse? Someone did an article, like a research paper called An Analysis of the Potential for the Formation of Nodes of Persisting Complexity. Yeah, so that was a thing. And this video here kind of breaks it down. They go through the study and they talk about why the countries were listed as number 1. Some of these top ones, they had Australia, New Zealand, Iceland. I think they had like Ireland, maybe somewhere around there, but a lot of European countries. The U.S. is not, well, there's a top 20. U.S. I think is 19. So it's not very high on the list. I think Canada is a lot higher. I'm not sure where exactly, but you got to check out this video and the article itself. It's pretty interesting, talking about who would survive, and it's not only who would survive if an apocalypse happened, but who also is preventing an apocalypse. Like who is least likely to have their own apocalypse in their country. Of course, the U.S. is not high on that list of people not having an apocalypse. I mean, we're like front and center, globally for number 1 target for everything. So I think it's safe to say that the U.S. would not be a safe place to be if there was some kind of an apocalypse. And there are different types of apocalypses. And so they kind of break that down and go through each thing. It's really interesting. It's a really well thought out research paper. I really enjoyed it. Okay, moving on. We have Mad Max, the anthology, which includes Mad Max 1, Mad Max 2 Road Warrior, Mad Max 3 Beyond Thunderdome, and Mad Max 4, which is Fury Road, are all now on 4K Blu-ray. Now you might be thinking, didn't I just buy that? Didn't I just get a 4K Blu-ray of Mad Max? Well, Fury Road. Fury Road had a couple years now, I think. They've had the Blu-ray version of that, 4K Ultra HD. Well, now they put all of them together. The entire thing, the Mad Max Anthology on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray combo pack, is $89.99 US, and that'll be coming on November 2nd. So save up your money, because that is a crazy price for 4 movies. No, it's a good price. But what I don't understand, I've never understood this. Now, I'm sure there are people out there smarter than I am. This guy sitting here behind a mic. But how can you make 4K from something made in 1979 and then 81? You know, like how are those older movies going to have 4K Ultra? I'm sure that there's an analog, actual film version that they had to get this off of, which, analog film is better than 4K. But with the artifacts in the film and all that kind of stuff, I just wonder how they're going to do it. If they cleaned it up, what kind of process they did to get that through there. I don't know. Yeah, Mad Max 79, Mad Max Road Warrior was 81, Beyond Thunderdome 85, and then Fury Road 2015. They're getting ready for that next film, the Furiosa film. And we don't know. It's supposed to be like 2024 by now or something. They keep upping maybe it's 2023. They keep postponing when it's going to come out. But we waited a long time for Fury Road. We waited 30 years for Fury Road since Thunderdome. I was 10 years old when Thunderdome came out. And then I was a little older when Fury Road came out, just a little bit older. So yeah, I think this is exciting news as far as if you're someone who, loves to watch things like that. If you want to watch it on a huge screen, of course, that's the big thing. Or I've watched the Blu-ray, the 4K Blu-ray version on a projector outside on a screen, like a sheet. And of course that takes a little bit away from it, but you can only really achieve a really good picture when it's huge, when it's like 8 feet wide, when you have something that originally started out as such a high quality image. So yeah, so you have that to look forward to on November 2nd. And then this other piece of news, this is interesting to me. It's kind of a goof a little bit. Now, okay, the Wayback Machine. This is archive.org. For years and years and years, I mean, probably 20 years, 25 years maybe, archive.org has been archiving every website out there. And I mean every website. I mean, I've made websites 20 years ago that I've gone on here and looked at, and they're there. Like, it saves all the revisions, and it has a nice little like a timeline at the top. You can move it to different times. So if you're ever like, if you made a website 20 years ago, and like I did, and you're thinking, what did that site look like? I forgot what it looked like. I would love to have some nostalgia and check out that site. Wayback.org is where you'll find that. Well, my point is, and the reason this is post-apocalyptic, is they made a Wayforward Machine, right? So instead of it being, I think they're celebrating their 25th anniversary. So instead of it being something where you go back and you look at actual websites and what they look like back then, they have a thing for 2046, what they think websites will look like in 2046. Now, at the beginning of this, I said it might be a goof, because it's almost like an April Fool's prank. Because how can you really show what something is going to look like? Like, what I imagined when I saw this, I'm like, well, maybe they'll take like some of the fonts and they'll change them into, Blade Runner fonts or something like that, and try to make it look more futuristic. But what they did was they took the site. So I went on postapocalypticmedia.com, of course, naturally, right? And I looked it up. And so what it is it's the site, and then it has a bunch of pop-ups over it. And that is genius. That is ingenious, because it's probably true. So some of these pop-ups, let me read some of this. This one has a little banner on the bottom when you go through wayforward.archive.org. And that's another thing. It's called Wayforward Machine, not Wayback Machine. So they got wayforward.archive.org, and you put in whatever website you want. And so the bottom pop-up, it says site suspended. This site has been temporarily suspended pending the outcome of legal proceedings. Want to know more about internet usage restrictions? Learn more. Click here. So in the future, basically what they're saying, whoever made this, and it gets a little political too, is what they're saying is that there's going to be more restrictions in 25 more years from now. There's going to be more restrictions on what we see. There's going to be more blockage and kind of bottlenecks and checks and balances and things like that for what we're going to see. Now, if you agree with that or not, I think it's kind of funny. It's funny now. It won't be funny in a couple years from now when this stuff's coming true. To me personally, I think this stuff's only a couple years away. I don't think it's 25 years away. I think by 25 years we'll kind of be going back the other way. Maybe, we'll be back to etching in stone and stuff like that. I think there's a sect of people who are doing that anyway. But anyway, so the rest of these pop-ups, it's this one says the content owner has made this content unavailable in your political block. Imagine that. Imagine there being an internet political block where you're not allowed to view certain things because you are affiliated with a certain political side, right? If I would have looked at this 2 years ago, I would say, haha, that's funny. That's ridiculous. Well, we're getting to that point right now. I mean, I don't want to get too political, but I think this is like a funny, like, laugh so that you don't cry kind of a thing. You're like, ha, ha, ha. Oh yeah, they're going to block it from certain political sides. It says the copyright on this material has been extended for an additional 200 years. Find out more. I'm not clicking that. But if you close one of the pop-ups, another one comes up. This one says your current browser or computer cannot run our content. Please make sure you have all privacy settings and firewalls disabled. They do that now. Let's see. I'm going to keep closing these. Access denied. This content is unavailable to users beyond the firewall. Here's a good one. To access this page, please enter your biometric details. Provide a retinal scan. Provide thumbprint. They do that now. I open my iPad with a thumbprint and iPhone, On the side here, they have a little thing where it's like live chat. And this drives me crazy. When you go on a website and it'll pop up and say, hi, how are you doing today? Is there something I can help you with? I'm like, click the X. And then it pops up again. If you need any assistance, let me know. And I'm like, this is why I shop online so that I don't have to go to Ace Hardware and have some guy follow me around and ask me if I need help every 3 seconds. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I'm online. So don't ask me if I need help every 5 minutes. I don't know. That's just me. That's the introvert in me. So my point is with that is I think it's so funny that they put these pop-ups on here to kind of show where our informational content is going from here. Where is, at what point will it be enough, and too much? So that's why we wrote about it. Stephanie wrote about this new thing that they're doing because it is very, like I said, laugh so you don't cry. It's very dystopian. It's very apocalyptic. This one here says classified content. This website includes information that can only be accessed by users who have shared their personal information. And your choices are leave website or divulge personal details. We're there. This is a funny thing. We're there. You go to a news website these days and they have a pop-up that says, you can't access this information unless you turn off all of your ad block and, things like that. And it's just ridiculous. I usually just close those and go to another website. I don't know. But yeah, I'd like to know what you guys think about this kind of dystopian direction we're going in with our information on the web, the web. Of course, you could look at it also as we've been really spoiled with the way information has been so readily available since, the mid 90s. maybe even a little bit before that, where you could get on the web. When was the web? The web started in like 93. And you could get on there and you could pretty much find anything you want, right? From then until recently. Completely free, it's just like an overpowering amount of information that comes out. And now people are trying to rein that in a little bit, and they're changing. I mean, Wikipedia has always been this open source thing, and now people change it, and you have fact checkers. The fact checkers is probably the worst because it's people with an agenda who want to just change the facts to change, how you look at things. So is this really the far future? No, I don't think this is the far future at all. I think it's very, very upcoming future. So when you look at this, just make sure you have some tears. Make sure you have some tissues nearby for the tears. That's what I was going to say. It's pretty scary stuff, but also entertaining. All right. So that's pretty much it for this week. We had a few things here and there. Like I said, it was a pretty slow news week. It's nice to just pick a couple things and just talk about them and see how it goes. Next week, we have a couple things releasing. We have Back 4 Blood, which is it's a video game that was made by the same people who did Left 4 Dead. And we talked about it on this podcast a while back. Derek and I were talking about the original game and how the developers kind of felt like Valve ran with it a little too much, and they didn't get to do what they wanted to do. Well, now those developers are like, hey, we're going to try this again, and this time we're going to make and they're calling it Back 4 Blood. And it's very, very much like Left 4 Dead. If you're a Left 4 Dead fan, I haven't played it, but I've seen a lot of videos. So that's going to be the official launch date on October 12th, which is next week. Then we have upcoming after that, we have on the 17th of October, we have Fear the Walking Dead Season 7 will premiere. More Walking Dead. I mean, while we're taking that break from the main Walking Dead, we can catch up to and continue watching Fear the Walking Dead, which will be on Season 7. October 19th, Last Man Down. Last Man Down is a movie coming up. And then October 22nd, of course, Dune on HBO Max. I think it's also coming to theaters. I'm pretty sure. And then that same day, Invasion, which is like an alien apocalypse show, that's coming out on Apple TV Plus. So a lot of stuff coming up in October. It's bound to be pretty good. And you can bet that I will talk about all these things in future podcasts as well. So I think that's probably about it for this. Remember to join if you're a writer, join our Post-Apocalyptic Media first annual short story contest. This is a contest that we're holding. First time we've done it, hence the first annual. And it's basically you're going to write between 3,000 and 5,000 words, somewhere around there. We're not going to, dock you if you do 501 or 2999. So it's a writing contest, and it has to be post-apocalyptic. You have to be 18 or over, and it has to be between 3,000 and 5,000 words, right around there. And you get to win money. There's a $200 first prize, a $100 second prize. There's also interviews. Like, we'll interview you if you win. We'll share your story all over our social media. We'll publish the stories too, so you can see it. Of course, these can't be things that were previously published. So that's kind of another stipulation. But anyway, all the details, if you go to postapocalyptic.com, right there, the biggest square right on the left, you'll see our writing contest, our short story writing contest. So if you're a writer, if you're an aspiring writer, if you're an established writer, it doesn't matter. Go check this out. Send us your best work, and we will pick it apart. No, we'll just see which one we like the best. So, yeah, should be fun. I'm looking forward to reading the entries along with a couple of other of us here on the team, including Tina, who is a professional author. She's actually written a book that I'm reading right now, and I'm loving it. And I've told her when I finish that book, I'm going to have her on the show. We're going to talk about it because I absolutely love her book. Yeah, so. Look for all that stuff. Look for all the latest news on postapocalyptic.com. look for the other podcast we do, the Walking Dead one, that'll be the last spoiler special for a while. I'm not going to do a Walking Dead one for a while. Maybe another show. We'll see. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching. I really appreciate it. And remember, always be ready for the big one. Bye-bye.